Good morning. Welcome to the October 10th, 2024 ESS Finance Subcommittee meeting. We will start off with the September 12th, 2024 summary of, or the minutes. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to review those. Any modifications or changes? Hearing no one or seeing no one in the chat, I will take a motion for approval.
Says Mel, I'll move to approve.
Thanks, Mel. Do I have a second?
Geraldine, I'll second.
Thanks, Geraldine. So moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll move on to the financial reports. First off with the accounts receivable update. Lisa, do you want to go ahead and talk about that?
Sure. The first one is Cerro Gordo. Excuse me. That's a discussion we're continuing to have with Tyler regarding their maintenance. If we're going to have to pay them, then we'll invoice the county. The Claris document is, or the amount is from the state treasurer, and there's some latency on their part getting the funds to us. Hardin County, that's the $100, I believe, for the deputies conference. And so we'll follow up with Lori and Cheryl today. And then the last gentleman, Scott Krutner, he is a Lynn County customer who did not recognize the information on his credit card statement. So he did a chargeback on that. And Sam, with the help of Lynn County, tracked him down, was able to connect with him, and he's sending us a check. So it may have been already received and deposited, and I'm just not aware, but I think we're in really good shape. This is one of the best ARs we've had in a long time.
And if I should interject, if memory serves me, and this was just this week that I observed this, but I understood that we sort of have reconciled the Tyler Technologies situation where they actually had a county that left them and then Cerro Gordo is joining them. So my impression is that this is going to balance out. So I don't think it will be hard to resolve that. We just haven't done the paperwork yet.
Great. Thanks for the explanation, guys. Anybody have any questions at all? All right, we'll move on with Samantha and the October summary of the August ESS payments.
Thank you, Stacey.
Yeah.
I have a few things highlighted here. So I have the Light Edge Solutions bill highlighted. This wasn't included in the original packet that I sent out. We have been having issues getting invoices on time. So that was added. This is the correct amount. This is the amount that you should see every month, the $7,981.25. The Rafferty bill, this is for the government relations. This was increased from $2,000 to $5,000 for the remainder of the year. This was approved at the last meeting. The COT invoice for $16,799.75. This is for 2005 fiscal year maintenance fees. The Susie bill for $71,088.50. This is for the kind of surprise invoice that we received, that we kind of talked about in the last meeting, the $71,088.50. This was for extra licenses that we were using from 2015 all the way up through this year. The two invoices for JR 180 ad specialties. We ordered some fun swag to have on hand in the office. So the $441.31 as well as the $580.26 is for swag. And then the Blue Compass bill, this was for the deputies conference room. So this is the last payment for them for the $1,530. The credit card statement, we have an extra Adobe subscription for $19.99. the subscription that we've had for years up here, this $59.99, was only for 2 computers. But with more people using it in the office, we had to get an extra subscription. So this is the extra subscription here. The Amazon charge for $81.06 was for an external hard drive. We are trying to condense the QuickBooks files, so we're taking backups of all the old files and we're keeping it on an external hard drive in case anything would happen. The $53.46 is for donuts for the deputies conference. The $188.25 was for the pizza for the deputies conference, the meet and greet the night prior. $806.03 was for the lunch for the deputies conference, and then the $525.13 was for the breakfast for the deputies conference. The Tenable Network Security was actually a subscription that we canceled. So you'll see that reimbursed a couple lines down. If there's no questions, I'd ask for your acceptance of your approval of the September payment reports.
I do, if you allow me to interject, I do have a couple comments to make. One is that the amount expended for the swag is less than the budgeted amount that was approved in the most recent budget amendment. But we are going to need to utilize those resources because the attendance was not quite as high as we were shooting for the deputies conference, and the team did a great job of economizing in terms of fine-tuning the meal plan and so on, but it just fell a little bit short. So I just want, so nobody's surprised, when we do the budget amendment in November, we're probably going to move money that we would have spent on the swag into the deputies conference so that we end up with a balance, so that they balance out. So I just wanted everybody to be aware of that. And then I also want to just comment briefly about Light Edge. I do believe that they are sincerely trying to get their billing correct, and they thought they had it fixed, but obviously it wasn't. And so there is an additional bill that we're still waiting to receive that is correct. They did give us a bill, but it was wrong, and so we had to send it back to them. So there's another item that is pending out there on that subject. So still within our budget parameters. It's not a budget issue, but it is essentially an accounting issue that will need to be resolved. So I just wanted everybody to be aware that there are a couple of things happening in the background that we're going to have to reconcile, and it will all work out, but it will probably show up more clearly in the November meeting. That's all I had. Thank you.
I have a quick question. The refund for my county on the deputies conference, I don't know if they've received that. I don't see it anywhere on here. Do you know how that is going?
I can only tell you that I did see a $91 refund somewhere in the mix. I'm not sure what it was, but
Well, it was 2 registrations, me and my deputy, because we
yeah.
couldn't come because of the funeral.
Yeah, I
I sent
would defer
that
to
check
Samantha on that.
Sam,
Yeah, I
you-
sent that. Yeah, I sent that check out I think the day after.
Okay,
Found out
I'll
you
check.
couldn't make.
I'll
Okay.
check with our
Yeah, it's
auditor. I just didn't see it on here, so I thought, okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's for $200.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all doing that too.
I have a quick question. It came up at our district meeting, and then when I saw swag on here. So we were talking at our district meeting. Is the swag something that the ESS marketing committee meets and discusses what to order, or is that completely separate?
I would have to be frank with you and say it's completely separate. If there are things that are related to primarily ESS and ILO related activities. I think basically, I'm gonna just say politely that the communication uh, uh, that you might think is happening between the ICRA group and what Kristen is doing. We don't really have a committee anymore for communications. We just have certain things to do. We haven't really had a need to meet because we've had to cut our marketing and communications budget substantially. And then, it's been somewhat ambiguous in terms of, how the communication should work. So we are not using the ICRA marketing committee to review anything because we just don't have a committee anymore.
So we still have a committee member, and at our next meeting, we have to vote on what we're gonna, her term's gonna expire. Are you saying we don't need to appoint that because ESS isn't going to have a marketing committee anymore, or?
I
Be-
would say right as things stand right now, Melissa, we do not have a marketing and communications committee under the ESS umbrella. And if you have a representative that thinks they should have been doing something, then this communication has not happened because we haven't had a communications type meeting for over a year.
Which is what she said. She was
Yeah.
confused by that there aren't meetings happening, and I wonder if my district's not the only one that's confused by the committee disassembling, maybe?
I-
I don't know.
I would say that is very possible, but we will unless something changes, we will not be soliciting nominations for an ESS ILO Communications Committee because based on the way things are happening right now, we just don't need to do it.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up.
You bet.
Any other questions or comments? I do want to make a correction. I said the October summary of the August ESS payments. It should be September. So I apologize for that. Do I have a motion for approval?
This is Geraldine. I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Geraldine. Amy, would you like to second as you just got chimed in the chat? Amy's going to second it from the chat pod. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. We'll move on to October Fund 255 reimbursement invoice.
Okay, the reimbursement invoice for September is, or sorry, for October 1st is $43,473.38. This is for the reimbursement from the state treasurer's office. As you can see, our payroll is higher than the invoice. We worked out a deal with the state treasurer's office to reimburse us for the income for the prior month. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or I'd ask for your acceptance and approval to submit this to the state treasurer's office.
Any questions for Samantha? Hearing none, I will go ahead and make that motion for the Fund 255 reimbursement. Do I have a second?
Since Mel, I can second.
Thanks, Mel. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Now we'll go on to the financial reports.
Bankers Trust had a beginning balance of $1,167,279.84, with an ending balance of $1,206,902.94. We were successfully able to reconcile the account for August. The drawdown account, we are also able to reconcile. Profit and loss for August. I have the $2,000 for conference registrations highlighted here. We had some people register a little bit late, so that would be that $2,000. We had a budgeted income of $145,745.71 with revolving income of $3,138,452.05 with total income at $3,284,197.76. POS transaction fees did come in a little bit higher in August at the $8,481.24. We did have a meeting at the beginning of the month with Professional Solutions because we had some fees that we weren't expecting on that bill, and we were able to get that resolved. We did receive a credit for it. You'll see that on the profit and loss next month. That $1,165.49 is for the PRIA registrations, and then the $625 is for the annual membership fee for PRIA. The negative $3,161.67. This is what Phil was talking about with Light Edge a little bit ago. So this bill we just received on Tuesday, and there was about $4,500 worth of credits on it. We're not really sure what those credits were for. They kind of went all the way into 2025. So Light Edge is looking into that to see why that bill is negative instead of the $7,900 that we were expecting. So we're still trying to communicate with them. That she did send me an email this morning. I haven't been able to look at it yet, but hopefully they found something. The local maintenance fee of $125,131.55 was for fiscal 2025 maintenance fees paid in August. Total budgeted expenses of $220,089.51. The depreciation expense that you normally see, I've highlighted there, with total revolving expenses of $3,128,088.49. With total expenses coming in at $3,375,169.16. With total net income of negative $90,971.40. Did prepare a budgeted only profit and loss. The same things highlighted here, the extra income from the deputies conference. With total budgeted income of $145,745.71. Again, the POS transaction fees highlighted, the PRIA membership and registrations, the Light Edge and the maintenance fees, with total budgeted expenses of $220,089.51 with a total net income of negative $74,343.80. Balance sheet for August. Most of it is held at the with the Bankers Trust account at $1,077,046.01. Total assets and liabilities equal at $2,649,295.40. The credit card statement, the beginning balance of $1,564 $3,223.86 with an ending balance of $3,223.63. We were able to successfully reconcile that account as well. And the fund at 255 for August, we had a beginning balance of $160,670.27 and an ending balance of $164,009.35, with total receipts equaling that reimbursement that you saw earlier, $43,473.38. And the reconciled account. The profit and loss for the Fund 255 account. And the balance sheet. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions for Samantha?
I don't have a question. I would I would augment a little bit of it. First of all, going back to the budgeted P&L, I think it is worth noting that the negative number is primarily associated with the payment of the maintenance expenses, which is expected. And actually, the way it happened this year is that it ended up that the maintenance expenses, when the payments were made, actually occurred over a 2-month period. And so there's a negative in both of those months, and that's just because that payment or those payments were spread out by the way the billing came in from the local service providers. And the other thing I want to mention about that is that we might not be entirely done with the maintenance expenses. There's still been a conversation with Fiddler about payment for expenses for the new counties that they took on this year. And so we're going to circle back with them and just make sure that we are all square with them and make sure that they don't have any feeling that we owe them any money for the additional counties that they added, just to make sure we're on the same page with them. Um, and uh, and then I would anticipate if something happens on that, you're going to see that show up in the next set of financial reports, or maybe the month after this one, as we kind of begin to zero in on closing out the year. So I just wanted to mention that to you, that there are a few things in that category that are still in play, and I don't know how they're going to end up, but we will be working on them this through the remainder of this month. That's all I had.
Yeah. Phil, do you think, so with some of the counties moving to Fiddler from their other service provider, will there be like some debits and credits as far as one drops off? So kind of like what happened with Cerro Gordo?
Yeah,
We'll see, we might see some of that going back and forth.
that happens almost every year, maybe not as much as it has this year. And usually what we have done is work with both service providers and work out some type of a prorated payment. So, for the months that they actually serve, that's what we try to coordinate how much we pay them when those payments come due. And then for the new service provider, sometimes, and this is sort of the case here, sometimes the new service provider will just say, hey, that we're a new customer, we're going to serve them, and then we'll deal with the maintenance next year. In other cases, they may say, yeah, we would like a prorated payment. So I'm not sure how that's going to end up, but we do try to prorate those payments as much as we can. And we've never had an issue with that. We've always been able to work it out. So that's what's in play again this time around.
Great, thanks, Phil. Any additional questions for Phil or Samantha? Okay, if not, I would take a motion for approval of the August 2024 financial reports.
This is Gerald, and I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Geraldine. Do I have a second?
Susan Smith, second.
Very good, Susan. Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. We'll move on to with Phil, ESS Financial and Strategic Review.
Yeah, so I guess I'm happy to share some positive news that if you look at the blue or the teal colored line for 2024, we've seen numbers in the last 3 periods to be above calendar year 2022, and we're happy to see that, and certainly above 2023 as well. That will be reflected in some of the discussions that we have about a final budget amendment, which we will bring to you in November. I did have a discussion with Lisa Kent and Nancy Booten just recently, just to kind of talk about what are some of the highlights that we're looking for in the next budget amendment. And one of those is that we are going to, just take a look at the additional net income that we're going to end up with that we weren't otherwise budgeting for. It does look like, if things hold, that we might end up the calendar year on a positive note as we get into the final quarter. We're hoping that that holds. I'm not making any prejudgments about that, but I think by the time we get to the first week of November, we'll have a pretty good idea about where we're going to be ending up. We did take, as Samantha noted earlier, we had an unexpected hit because of the Linux operating software license audit that was conducted. I would just repeat what we said before, and that is, we are not contesting, the information, and if we're upset about anything, it's that the service provider, basically didn't follow up on that much sooner than they did. It would have been much easier to manage. So we're taking a chunk out of the software and equipment maintenance reserve in order to cover that. Fortunately, we have a healthy reserve there. But as we look at the end of this year, it's sort of a mixed bag. We had some expenses that were higher than we anticipated. There were some things that earlier in the year we made a decision to pay for out of the reserve fund, hoping for better times. And so as we look at the potential for things that we might do at the end of the year, one of them that we'll look at is we'll take a look at some of the expenses that we took out of the reserve and see, can we put that back in the budget? Just so that, we're doing what we can to preserve the reserves that we have. Another thing that is on my mind that I would share with everybody is that it will have been 2 years since any of the primary members of the team had any compensation adjustment. Yes, we did give a compensation adjustment to Myrna. I would consider that to be very merit-oriented, sort of a balancing action, but we really haven't done much for anybody else. We do have some new staff people. Samantha hasn't been here a year yet, so we'll have to see about that. But honestly, we are not going to be in a position to make permanent adjustments to compensation at the end of this year. We just can't make that commitment until we know what our longer term path is, and hopefully we are successful in the legislature in securing some of those needed operating revenues for our land records. So what I may be working on are some recommendations for end of year bonuses. And so I don't want anybody to be surprised by that. I want you to kind of keep that in your mind. If you have any questions or concerns about that idea, please feel free to reach out to me before the end of this month, if you would, please, so that we can make some plans. But we will be working on a um, a, um, a budget amendment, and we'll be bringing to you the budget recommendations for calendar year 2025. Uh, we're going to build the budget based on current law. We're not going to get happy with unrealistic expectations about legislation. But certainly we've got some sort of plan B things that will be on the shelf, in the event that we have some success about what we would do. I have been pretty transparent about my intentions of recommending that we spend more money for additional developers on our team, and to sort of reconcile some of the things that we've done in this year to take funds out of the reserves in order to pay for certain operating expenses. So we have a lot of pieces of the puzzle that we're going to have to put together. The budget work has started, but I am not close to being in a position to make any specific recommendations today. But I wanted you to just have kind of a sense of some things that we are thinking about. And in that context, I would be happy to answer any what if questions that you might have. Anything that you'd like to ask me to comment on or speculate about, I would be happy to do so.
Anyone? Everyone's quiet today, Phil.
Um, I'm just gonna plow forward then, if you don't mind, and that is the next one. I did talk about the SUSE. I would say that the thing that I have to report is that that issue has been resolved, and then we did receive the necessary documentation from the company to kind of say everything is clear, fully paid through the end of the current calendar year, and we are a customer in good standing and have resolved those issues. Having said that, Kelly and I are going to be working together as we may not be associated with that company much longer. Basically, there are plans afoot to find a different but capable Linux operating system. Kelly is working on that right now. And I can only say that this could have been much worse because to the letter of the law, we could be paying penalties and interest going back to 2015. And all of those potential expenses were waived by the company. So uh, I'm both saddened that it happened, but happy that the things that could have happened that would have been worse did not happen. Um, I'm going to keep moving. The point of sale system update. Um, I think the main things are that we really have pretty much completed the transition to the new system. Generally speaking, the terminals seem to be working well. The day-to-day customer support seems to be in place. What is not working well are the reports that we are to receive from them so that we can do our work to get funds timely distributed to the county. I don't feel like I should recount the entire dialogue that we've had with them, but we have had very serious conversations with them. And the most recent issues really, we agree that they're not attributable to them. It has to do with Fiserv and First Data upstream. Uh, and we have had experiences with Fiserv before. I don't know if anybody on the call can remember this, but when we originally were doing online payments, we were working with Fiserv directly. They were our payment gateway, and we ended up essentially firing them for reasons just like this. Um, so I think Professional Solutions is making a very good faith effort to get this issue resolved. Um, Lisa and Samantha and I are going to be conferring here shortly after this meeting. There is still a distribution that is due to counties for transactions that occurred on October 4th. We still do not have the reports that we need from First Data, Set Fiserv, Professional Solutions. Point the figure where you want to. We don't have it, but we have been able to piece information together, so we think we have a pretty good idea about what is due each county, and we are just going to go ahead and create a file and get that distribution done. That should occur hopefully today, no later than tomorrow. And, we do want to extend our apologies to everybody that this has happened because it's a disruption and nobody's happy about it. So, but we do know that it's being worked on and hopefully it can be resolved more permanently going forward. The other thing about point of sale is that, and I want to give Samantha credit. She did a lot of the math on this. But we kind of went back through our agreement with Professional Solutions, and there were a few fees that were higher than we projected them to be. And they represented to us that our fee payments would be at or below what we were paying to Bank Card USA, and it just hasn't turned out to be true. So I will give them credit, at least partial credit, that they have reduced a couple of those fees, and I think those reductions will occur and make some difference in this next period. Then the last thing I want to say about point of sale is that we have sort of a balance benefit here, but also a cost associated with it. One thing that Professional Solutions does that is more than what Bank Card USA did is that they have an arrangement with a security firm to monitor PCI compliance. And there is a fee associated with that service, which ordinarily they pass on to their customer. This was not disclosed to us when we originally entered into the agreement, and we've indicated to Professional Solutions that that is a problem. Uh, uh, they have asked for time to work on it, which we are granting them. And we also just have to realize that, it would not be a trivial thing to find another payment gateway provider for point of sale. So we just have to kind of keep our heads together and we'll continue to work on that. On the positive side, one benefit that we do get from working with Professional Solutions that primarily accrues to the county is that they're providing the terminals for us at no additional cost, which is something we had to pay for with Bank Card USA. So that is a benefit that sort of mitigates your and kind of eases the pain a little bit, but it is something that we're going to continue to work on. So if anybody has frustrations, we understand, and we're right there with you. And we'll continue to work on it, and we'll get the October 4th monies distributed as soon as we can. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about that.
In the chat, Mel asked a question if it would help if the counties tell you what was now due for that 10/4/24 credit card payment. And Lisa Long said, Mel, they're working with communication after the meeting. So we'll wait
Right.
to see if we can help you in any way. I think about with our other ACH, we're used to getting weekly from the state, from the DNR, and from Iowa Department of Public Health and Human Services. So the way I always look at it is that I keep track, but as long as I have the money by the end of the month in my bank account, um, that's what I really strive for. So I don't know if other recorders, want to see that money the next day right now, but I don't earn interest until the very end of the month. So I appreciate your guys' due diligence, but I just wanted to echo that I'm not like sitting here tapping my foot waiting for my credit card from the day before. So I don't know. I just thought I would pass that on. But I mean, it is a serious issue, and I'm glad that we track it. But I just wanted to echo that I hope you're not getting a lot of heat from a bunch of recorders that we're not getting our credit card money
Well,
from. So just so you know.
Well, I look at it this way. The vast majority of the time, we get the monies timely distributed.
Yeah.
And that is our intent, and that's what we try to do. And I totally understand, when you do it that way, expectations are set, and so I understand that. So we're going to continue to try and do it on a daily basis or on Monday after the weekend, as we have done. We're not going to change that. But we have run into a hiccup here that we're just going to have to work through.
And I think Teresa commented, and also Amy and Kathy. So if you guys want to read those comments, that's totally fine. But I just wanted to echo that I hope that, I think on the majority of the recorders are all okay. There's an explanation and it's coming. So we just appreciate all your due diligence on that.
Thanks.
Stacy,
Yeah.
Lisa, I'm going to jump in here for a second.
Sure.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, it's easier if we do it daily, because then if there's an issue, it's so much easier to track down. We're currently searching for 4750 from a county that
Yeah.
through no fault of theirs, and actually no fault of ours, didn't
Mhm.
appear in their bank account. And so it's much easier to do it daily and go, oh yeah, here it is. We can fix this today, no big deal, instead of a month after the fact.
Yeah. Great.
One thing I would add, I mean, since we're piling on here, if you've looked at the bank statement in your financial report, the bank statement's much longer than it used to be, because the methodology is showing the disbursement to each individual county. So anyway, we are intent on tracking that with you, and we'll stay on top of it. So thank you all for your patience on that.
Yeah.
Stacy, the last thing I wanted to report
Mhm.
on before we adjourned is, as always, I'll answer any question that you have, but I did want to give you an update on the recording fees and modernization activity. And the thing I want specifically you to be aware of is that we have drafted the legislation that would be necessary to modify the recording fees, the modifications to 331.604. Really, we have devised two different options, one of which is presumes that we would continue to do business with the state treasurer as we have done, and the alternative is just to have the counties disperse the money directly to ESS and put it in our operating account. We think that would actually be better and more efficient than what we're doing with the state treasurer's office. Bless their hearts, we appreciate everything that they've done over the years, but there is a better way to run a railroad, and so we're going to offer that up and see who would be willing to support that change. One of the advantages is that 100% of the funds that are managed through ESS would be directly a part of the audit. Right now, everything that rolls through the treasurer's office is included indirectly by the reimbursement that we seek and the money that we spend. It's just not a very efficient way to do business. And then associated with that, we haven't finalized anything yet on the to-do list. However, looking ahead to November, but probably December, for the finance subcommittee, is that we have had conversations with Bankers Trust, and I generally believe that will be possible to set up an interest-bearing sweep account with them, so that at least some of our funds, will be interest-bearing. A lot of details to work out on that, but I'm intending to bring a recommendation to you to move forward with that. And then we'll see how the discussions with the state treasurer's office work out as well. So more to come on that, but those are a couple of things that are in the works. I would just say more broadly that and we've shared this with some of the other committees and working groups, but it seems like we will be able to sort of take all the different legislative components and bring them together sometime around the end of this month or in early November. I know that many recorders that we've spoken to, Census has been organizing these advocacy meetings with different groups of recorders who are represented by certain legislators. And I would just say, first of all, those conversations have been very productive, and we're excited to see that the recorders who participated so far, are thinking about, okay, I've got to organize a meeting with my representative or a senator, and that's all very good. But everybody we talk to is anxious for more information, and so. We have to let a few things percolate a little bit further, but I'm very hopeful that we'll have some more comprehensive information for you all to look at, sometime by the middle of November, certainly before the holiday. And I know everybody would really appreciate that. So those are things that are in process. And for as many moving parts as we have in this whole thing, I would say we're doing pretty good at this moment. And that's all I have as supplementary reports. But I know Samantha, Lisa, and I would be happy to answer any question you have.
Any comments from the group? None? Okay, well, thank you everybody for attending. Our next meeting is November 7th at 9 o'clock. Have a good rest of your week. And thanks for everybody for all your help with this advocacy and legislation modernization. It takes a village, so.
Thank you all.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
No.